Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Dusting Off Warlord, Saga of the Storm, featuring Captain Dukat. Um, as far as the fluff goes, this is the guy who eventually becomes the Free King. Starting at the beginning of Campaign Edition, Dukat basically goes on an Andover world tour, and he's looking to find someone who can become the king of the Free Kingdoms. He teams up with I believe her name is Ruanid Wadrith, and they meet a bunch of people. They meet Laird John Hawthorne. They meet, I want to say they meet other people. I know he meets Vronish Kez too, at some point during that story. But he ends up becoming the king himself. I believe the rest of the rest of the leadership of the humans basically like, yeah, we'll just put this guy in charge. It's fine. This is also, so my play group, again, we're very casual. Most of our decks are not, actually practically all of our decks are probably terrible, and that's fine. This is probably the closest thing that I currently have to a quote unquote good deck. And I don't play it very often because it can sometimes be a negative experience, so I don't play it too terribly often, and there are some things that I have intentionally omitted or done differently just to try to tone it down a little bit. Again, not saying that it's good, but for our meta, because again, we're just a bunch of scrubs having fun and rolling dice, so we will take a look. So Captain Dukat is a good Free Kingdoms 5th level rogue. He is a scout. He's got shooter stats because this guy is, it doesn't say this on his card, and I don't remember, I'm pretty sure this guy is an arcane archer. If you remember, I believe it's a prestige class in 3.0 and 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. That's the impression I get from this guy because of his card. So he's got 1 melee strike at +5. If you need to use that, things have probably gone horribly wrong. 16 armor class, that's average for rogue. +8 skill, 3 hit points, nothing amazing there. Again, he is a scout. He has the Taurus Celt Fluff trait, which doesn't do anything. Taurus Celt, I believe, was... again, I'm not super big on Warlord Fluff, but I believe that was basically this... It was kind of like Zozo in Final Fantasy VI, if I'm remembering the name correctly. The town of, just a bunch of outcast people. And, that is where I believe Robert brought all the people who were following him. Or, I want to say it's someplace up in the mountains, fairly well fortified. And it was the one safe haven they have. I want to actually, do I have his old card here? I believe that the old flavor text is something like, let the outcasts be your saviors, or something like that. But he has this other trait. Range strikes made by your other Free Kingdoms characters gain +3 to the roll. That's really why you're playing Dukat. He also has 2 other abilities. He has a spend order to shoot for a +3, and once per turn, as an order, you can discard a spell from your hand to perform a +5 range strike. You can use those. They are somewhat relevant, but mostly you're playing him for that buff to all your other guys' range strikes. That second ability to toss a spell to do a +5 range strike, that's why I think he's an arcane archer. I don't think he ever displays any magical ability in the fluff, but that's just what I think. So, really, really straightforward. With Dukat, basically, you want to, at least as far as I'm concerned, there's kind of a balancing act you want to have. One, you want to take advantage of that because +3 is a pretty nice bonus for a range strike, especially for lower level characters whose their range strikes are +1 or +0. This is turning them into +3s, +4s. That's a pretty big increase as far as the dice curve goes. So, but you also don't want to have nothing but range strikes because if they have an out to it, you could have a bad time. So. Probably nothing, at least as far as level 2, is nothing out of the ordinary here. Glenn the Blaze and Scarlet. These 2 characters, when Scarlet got printed, in my opinion, she gave Dukat such a gigantic boost. So, Scarlet is a scout. She has marksmanship +5, typical level 2 stats. She needs to roll a 12 to make her marksmanship check, but that's actually not terrible there. But she has this react. Once per turn, after an adjacent character performs a range strike, perform a +3 range strike. With Dukat, that's +6. That hits a lot of stuff, but because she also has marksmanship, she could potentially make that into a +11, I believe. I believe it's for +5, or for an additional wound, or shoot an additional rank away. A lot of stuff you can do with her. And since she's standing next to Glenn the Blaze, Glenn is a 2nd level wizard who spends perform +0. Again, it's +3 with Dukat. And once per turn, after Glenn performs a range strike that wounded its target, perform a +0 range strike. This can trigger off of his first ability, and it can trigger off of any other range strikes that he makes. He also doesn't have to kill you. He just has to wound you, which is pretty interesting. So, Yeah, a lot of times your opening action, assuming you didn't draw anything better to play out of your hand, your opening action is going to be spending Glenn to shoot for a +3. Hopefully he hits something. React with his ability, shoot for another +3. React with Scarlet, shoot for a +6. That's a lot of shots coming down the pipe, like right off the bat. So, and again, there's plenty of other tricksy things you can do to potentially make that more than just those 3 strikes. So, as far as level 1 level 1 characters go, I'm starting 3 copies of Kundavel. This guy is kind of trash in my opinion, but he's so funny. He's got a -2 to his attack stat, meaning he's not really hitting anything. 11 armor class is okay. It's not great. It's not even all that good, but you know, at least it's not like 8 or something. He's a pacifist. However, he's also a Myrmidon. I don't know how those two go together, but you know, whatever. He just has this one very trolly ability. Spend react after this character is targeted by a melee strike, cancel the strike. It is unfortunate this only works on melee strikes, but it functions in some ways like a second hit point. Or something like Gene Core Initiate. It's not really as good as that because Gene Core Initiate triggers off of anything. And they also have to actually hit him. It could be, you know, it could be the strike wouldn't have hit him anyway and he cancels it. But this can just be kind of, I've had so many games where people just look at him and they're like, okay. So I normally would be attacking with a dude, but he's just going to stop it. And so they'll do something else, which in some ways it kind of, I don't even know how to phrase what I'm thinking. They should just try to punch these guys and kill them, but a lot of times they don't, and so it can kind of buy you some time to get some of your shots down. So those should probably be something else. It should probably be like Domini and Spencer, but no, we're doing that. You could get even trollier and I believe start Lear Militia and then go look for those guys. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that because that's messed up. Yeah. So as far as other characters, 2 more copies of Scarlet and 2 more copies of Glenn. Again, Scarlet is just, she's so incredible. Especially again, if you have multiple of her in play and there's a Glenn in between 2 of these. Oh man, oh the shots. We're also got some other range stuff here. So we've got 3 copies of was this Ariella? Ariella. This could be any number of other characters who have range strike. I'm really only playing her because she's planar. And again, just randomly, that having to roll even numbers. I am this guy, okay? Freaking, So, me and one of my buddies, there was like, I'm not even joking you, there was like a 3 or 4 month, actually, it may have been longer than that. I was on this epic losing streak, like, and we would play, you know, maybe once every month, maybe twice a month. Back when I could stand being around people more than I can now. But I could not, freaking Regret Shadow, I could not hit this thing for like 6 months, okay? And so, just because because he would play him with Tavis a lot. He'd actually play him with quite a few different characters. And I know this has nothing to do with Dukat, but, you know, it's story time. And so, like, I would try to hit it. Krenthor would be like, I'm going to eat you, and the Regret Shadow's like, actually, you're not, because I'm going to stealth it, and I'm going to get lucky and make it. And the rest of your swings are just going to miss. So if I talk about how much I hate Planar, that's mostly why, because of that, oh man, that string of losses right there. And then I remember, like, I would sometimes kill it, and then he would be like, life is magic, and it's back again. And I'm like, that's just freaking wonderful. Or he'd go, sever to flesh, and it's like, it doesn't matter if it's spent, because I can't get past that. So it's very, very stupid, but so yeah, I like her because she's got a shot, and again, she might buy you a little bit of extra time just by virtue of her having the planar trait. We also have 3 copies of Josef Krieg. This guy is actually kind of an interesting character in this deck. You can start these too. I don't think it's as good as the start I have here, but he does spend for +1. He has this interesting ability though. He came out of Death's Bargain, which was the set that interacted with characters, at least for freaks, characters in your discard pile. So if Josef is in your discard pile, all your Free Kingdoms characters have the text, remove him from the game to perform a +4 range strike. But it's not a +4, it's a +7 off of Dukat. And so I think pretty interesting. There's also some things that toss cards from your hand, and tossing him to get an effect and then still being able to use him for that one-shot range strike, I think it's pretty solid. I'm a big fan of his. For a couple level 1s, we got 3 copies of Percy Dorn. Very, very generic. You can replace this again with a bunch of stuff. I just happen to like him. Yeah, 11 AC, not amazing, but not terrible. He shoots for a +3 in this deck, which, you know, that's fine. But we also have a very, very interesting card that came out in, I think it's City of Gold. It's a 4th edition promo. Felon's Rowan. Felon's Ron is both an elf and a Free Kingdoms character. She's actually good aligned. She spends to perform X+1 range strikes, where X is her level. Now you can just do that. You can just, if you need an extra body, you can play her in rank 1. But she has this interesting spend react. After entering play, move to the rank behind the last rank of your formation. That's 1. Then perform a +2 range strike against target character in the last rank of an opposing formation. Felons permanently gains +2 levels. So there's a lot going on with this. One, she goes to the back and it buffs her level, meaning if she somehow makes it to the front at some point, or to rank 2, she's got level 3, so she's making 3+1 range strikes, and there are +4s in this deck. But she also shoots something in their last occupied rank, and there's no real time to react to this. I mean, you might react to her ability. I'm not really sure what you would do for that, but yeah, there's plenty of things I'm sure. But this is a +5 range strike hitting someone in the last rank of their army. The amount of times she has done amazing things for me. Someone is, maybe not dragon ranching, because, you know, my clan doesn't dragon ranch. Not really. But someone's building ranks for something, and the things they have holding their ranks together are like, it's like matchsticks, okay? There's like freaking Sir Ywain, or a Nemeseth, or Paymaster Core. There's all these things that people will have, and it's like, they're not especially durable. And then all of a sudden, Felons goes, yeah, comes in and kills them, and like all their plans go out the way. It's hilarious. It's also just a way to do damage, potentially, to their Warlord. Again, if you have some Warlord that's in the back that doesn't want to come to the front, you know, Felons coming in, doing a wound like that, with how many ways you could potentially shoot things further, again, things like Scarlet, this could put them in the danger zone kind of quickly. So I'm a huge fan of Felons in a lot of different things. You can also use her if you want to do your own kind of dragon ranching. I guess in Elves, I haven't really seen any freak dragon ranching decks, but I see it in Belial. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. And then rounding it out, again, you don't want just range strikes. So we're rounding out with 3 copies of Jackals of Morn. This is just in here because he's got 2 fairly quality attacks. He can generally attack the turn he comes into play. And he's Planar. Like, what's there not to love about that guy? Great character. So that's it for the character base. Now, as far as everything else, for actions, there's a bunch of spells here for 2 different reasons. These spells all basically do the same thing. Most of this deck is extremely redundant. So we've got 3 copies of Blast, and 3 copies of Flame Arrows. So, and actually I'll just mention these later. And then 3 copies of Evoke Crisis. So, Blast is doing a +3 range strike. You can replace these with, like, what is it, Final Power? Final Power, oh, I can't even think of it. The one that gives you marksmanship for if you have, you know, 2 or more or 3 characters in your rank. I can't even remember what it's called. It's been a day. But I like Blast because it's level 1. And again, I've been in plenty of situations where my Felons is not, I can't afford to put her in the back because I need just a random body. So Blast being level 1 means she can play it. Obviously the Glens can play this. And again, if they're all dead, because these people are not especially durable, you can just toss this to Dukat, and it becomes a +5 range strike, or a +3 range strike, sorry. Flame Arrows and Evoke Crisis, these are both really interesting as opening actions from Glenn the Blaze. Instead of using his order, he can cast Flame Arrows. This will be 2 +5s, which is, you know, better than his normal 1 +3. These are spells, so they ignore Planar. There's 2 of them. Actually, I don't think I have the correct wording on this. I should probably look that up. I'll post the 4th edition MRP on this. This is a fire action now, apparently, which is, yeah, whatever. But then Scarlet can react, and yeah, great stuff with that card. Evoke Crisis is also very, very interesting with him. This card has been errated, so range strikes from this spell can target an adjacent rank. This being level 1 is also nice because the Felons can't cast this, but as an order, you discard any number of cards, perform a +2 range strike, 1. Perform a +0 range strike for each card discarded, 2. So this has been errated that you can't toss more cards than your level. So with Felon, she can only toss 1 card, but it is giving you 2 strikes. And Glenn can only toss 2 cards, but this is 3 range strikes he's getting, and it's an order to do it. So he can do this while he's spent. He can still use his normal range strike afterwards. So a huge amount of value out of this card. The amount of opening actions. I mean, I'll get to some of the pimpest plays that this deck has had, but yeah, Evoke Crisis has caused one of them. So we also have a couple other just random things. We've got 3 copies of Throw. So, again, this could probably be something else, but this is a +5 range strike as an order that any of the rogues can play, so I like that. We also have 3 copies of Ranging Shot. This does 2 different things. You can just spend order, perform +3 range strike, again, +6 with Dukat. 2, it's got this react. After a target character is hit with a range strike by this rogue, perform a +2 range strike against a character in the rank behind the target. Very, very awesome with Scarlet. Again, some of the, actually, I'll just cover it now because I think I've spoiled all the cool stuff. You know, I've had games where, you know, you evoke Crisis off of Glenn the Blaze. It's the first thing you do. You toss 2 cards. One of them is a Yosef Krieg, and you shoot 3 times, and then he reacts to shoot. Scarlet shoots. You know, she'll make either a marksmanship check to shoot even further, so now she's hitting into their rank 2, and then she ranging shots to hit their Warlord as your opening action, and then, oh man, it can be explosive. Now, granted, the odds of this happening are not super good. The bonuses are pretty solid. Again, the ranging shots, I mean, that's a +5, or that's pretty solid, and she has marksmanship. It's just, again, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's inconsistent because, again, I don't play this too often because it annoys people. But I've had so many games where that's what happens. It's like my opening action is just this barrage of range strikes against you. So pretty awesome. As far as something for Dukat to do, we have 3 copies of Lure. Now, this could probably be a whole bunch of different things. It's level 3, spend order, move target, ready opposing character of equal or lower level forward 1 rank. Bards play this without spending. This is, again, doing quite a few things. This can potentially bring a, if this is like the first thing you do, like I don't usually think this has ever really been the first thing I've done. But hypothetically speaking, they're playing a character who has no reason to move forward and they just want to sit in rank 3. All of a sudden they're in rank 2 now, and that's much more dangerous against a deck that's built around range strikes. So, I mean, Dukat doesn't really do anything. He kind of just sits there most of the time. So I'm perfectly fine using this to move, you know, their Warlord forward. Low key, it has also, again, it's caused some just occasionally random issues with people trying to build ranks or people trying to, I would say, build decks, like equipping items, and we don't play those too often. But it can mess those up too, so I'm a big fan of that. Rounding it out to a couple items. We've got 3 copies of Black Moss. This is, again, just because you don't want all your stuff to be range strike, so this is just potentially an auto wound that you can do. Yeah, big fan of that. A single copy of Falter Stones. This is mostly just in here to keep the cavalry decks a little bit honest. I'm only running 1, so drawing it's not super reliable, but when you do, when the matches come up, it's great. And then, rounding it out, we have another kind of troll card here. So, we have 3 copies of Blackiron Mine. I think this card's probably not very good, but I have also done extremely well with this card in Dukat. So I don't think I've really talked about dungeons on this channel yet, and I don't believe dungeons are coming back. I think Woodrow said on some video that was not on my channel, he was doing an interview, I think, and I think he referred to dungeons as background noise. I don't want to misquote him, but I don't think these are coming back. Basically, what dungeons are is there's like another slot on the table, and that slot is for holding dungeons. There's only one of these slots, and so there can only be 1 dungeon in play at a time. The dungeons all have a challenge rating. In this case, Blackiron Mine is challenge rating 7. Oh, excuse me. If you want the dungeon to go away, you have to spend, I believe it's spend characters with an level equal to the challenge rating. So in this case, they'd have to spend 7 levels of characters. That could be their Warlord in a level 2, that could be 3 level 2s in a level 1, but that's how you make these go away. That by itself can be kind of, it can be kind of interesting because the potential advantage you can get out of them having to spend all these characters to kind of just cancel something you've done can be really strong. In this case, Blackiron Mine also has it has a very funny effect. Okay, so Warlords have the text, at the end of each turn, all characters in the last rank of this army fall forward 1 rank if possible. If no character falls forward this way, remove Blackiron Mine from the game. Basically what this is doing, again, I don't want them hiding in the back because although I have ways to get them when they're in the back, I really want them in rank 2 or rank 1, so I can just shoot them and it's fine. Blackiron Mine causes them to fall forward, and it's important that it's not moving them forward. They are falling forward, meaning if they're spent, they become stunned, and if they're ready, they become spent. This also happens at the end of the turn, and this card is kind of odd. So both Warlords have that text. So both Dukat and the opposing Warlord, or Warlords if there's multiple players, each one of them has to basically move they have to move all the characters in their last rank. That they all have to fall forward. If anyone doesn't do this, because say everybody's already in the front, then this goes away. And I guess that's another way this just removes itself. But basically this can This can just be kind of it can be kind of dickish sometimes, but like if this is the last thing you do and they're Warlord, they're expecting to have this explosive next turn. You know, like I have, you know, my I'm gonna do whatever. I drew X thing that's great, this great spend order, and I'm gonna just do some cool stuff, and then you drop this and they can't get rid of it, and all of a sudden their Warlord is not ready at the start of the next turn. They're spent, and they're spent one rank closer because, yeah, you fell forward at the end of the last turn and it stunned you. So yeah, it's such a weird card, but I have gotten quite a bit of value. Dukat, again, I don't really care if he gets stunned, like, at all, because he doesn't, outside of lure, he doesn't really do much. He kind of just sits there and like cheerleads everybody shooting their arrows and their spells and stuff. So yeah, gotten a lot of value out of that. Very, very amusing. It's annoyed people sometimes. Again, this deck can be kind of annoying, but yeah, and I'm not saying it's great. It's just it's very, I would call this like very atypical for our meta. So that is what we are doing as far as the main deck for Dukat goes. There are a bunch of other things with him. Probably the biggest one that you might be asking is, where's the Archer Tower? And yeah, you can play this. And it probably should be in here. I don't really think it's necessary. Is it good? Yeah, don't really need it. Again, you can change your start. You're probably better off with Spencer and Domini, especially because the Spencer can help the Jackals. And I think that's actually why I'm running the Percy Dorns, if memory serves. Like, I think this is what I used to start, but the troll factor from the Pacifist, it was just too great. So yeah, Kundaville, you're going in. You can do something like Hayden Wrist, who I think is also a potentially interesting choice. There's a lot of bunch of different starters you can do. One that I do like, and I think this is what I was doing before Scarlet came out. I was still starting one Glen because that was still good, but I was starting Vermin Swarm. So, Vermin Swarm is a monster. Amusingly, the Vermin Swarm can equip items. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever done that. You can throw Black Moss on it. That's very fun. You can give it a sword. That's some freaking Chippendale Rescue Ranger shit right there. But he has two abilities. Well, he's a scout also, which can be important. Once per turn, if it is the first turn, perform a +2 range strike. It's important this is an order. He doesn't have to spend to do this, and so if he falls forward, he's now shooting a +5 into their rank 2, which is pretty nice. If you have other, like, spend cards, I was playing, at one point, I want to say it's called Braxton Defense. Really, really terrible card. It doesn't benefit from Dukat's ability, but the volume of range strikes you can get out of that was just, yeah, it went with the theme, so I played it for a while. And so you can spend to do that and still use your normal, +2, which in Dukat's a +5. If it's not the first turn, you can move it forward or backward one rank. That is the really odd part about this. If you use this as a starter, because you can't move until it's not the first turn, so second turn and onwards. But once you're in the front, like, you don't really do anything because you don't have the range strike anymore. So I think these guys are kind of cool. Again, when Scarlet came out, no, absolutely not. I cannot imagine not starting Scarlet Glen in any version of Dukat, but I could be wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I mentioned Scout a couple times because one of the other things you can also play is Fire at Will. This card is actually interesting, and this card I didn't realize this card got errated in this fashion until like 10 minutes before I started recording. So Fire at Will is, it's a react, it's level 2. After you roll initiative, target a character within 2 ranks until end of the turn. All non-spell range strikes against that character gain a bonus equal to this rogue's level. Originally, this card said this rogue's level, the rogue's level +2 if he's a scout. So this card actually got an interesting errata. Scouts gain +2 levels for performing this action, meaning level 1 scouts can now play this. Is that really good? Probably not, but I thought that was kind of an interesting change. This doesn't work on your spells, and again, I don't play this for the same reason I don't play Archer Tower. I don't think this is really all that necessary most of the time. Although, if there's something super tanky and you have Dukat play like 2 of these, like you can hit a lot of stuff with that. You can also start Martin Exemplar or play him in the deck. I like this guy, generally speaking, in range shooting decks. I just don't really like him in this one because most of your characters don't have very good skill. And this is only giving them marksmanship +2. And again, if he's starting in your discard pile, that means you're not starting Glen Scarlet. So playable, probably, especially if you were to make a build that was focused on more quality range strikes from characters who actually have decent skill mods. This one, yeah, not so much. The last character, now this is a build that I played a very long time ago. I have not played this in forever. It might be really good. It's probably not, but it was similar to the Lennox builds that I've done, but it was built around this character, Colter Arden. So this is a freak. He's level 2. He can't start in play because he's multi-class. He's both a fighter and a rogues, and he enters play as if he were level 3. He's got an interesting stat block: 3+1 melee strikes, 13 armor class, +4 skill, 2 hit points, and this really cool spend order. Okay, perform a +0 range strike for each lower level Free Kingdoms character in your army. The deck was built around this guy, and I'm sure there's not a whole lot of imagination needed to know what I was doing. It was play just a bunch of low-level characters, and this guy would spit out 7-8 range strikes, no problem, especially after you play Rowan's Duty on him, and all of a sudden, he's actually level 3. And he can equip all things that buff that. His ability's on a spell, so, you know, all the stuff that would benefit, you know, range strikes pretty much work on him. You can give him Bracers of Archery. You can do so much stuff with this guy. I kind of want to build that version because it was a lot of fun to play. I don't know. I think because Dukat can't look for this, I think I was having problems drawing it. You don't strictly need to play this out of Dukat. You could probably play this out of something else that can go look for him. But yeah. The only other thing you can also add in here too, most of my rogue decks, I don't play item removal super often because, again, we don't really play build decks too often. And yeah, so a lot of the item removal, like, it's not super... It's useful, but sometimes but because Dukat, generally speaking, I do not want him on the front. If he's on the front, either I am so far ahead or I am horribly behind. The card is Clearing the Mark. This is item removal. This is one of the only guys I really play this in. It's a spend order. It's level 2. You target an item in play up to twice this rogue's level. On your next order, skip that order and instead remove the item from the game. A lot to unpack with this as far as item removal. So one, this does not require a check of any kind, and this can hit things no matter where in play it is. You don't have to be nimble fingers and steady aim, which are what I usually play for my rogue item removal. Those you pretty much need to be in rank 1. This, he can get items sitting in the back with this. There's no check involved, and because Dukat is level 5, there are not very many things in the game that he is not able to remove with this. So, and again, it's removing it from the game. So even if it's not something high level that you're getting rid of, if you get rid of a Nodwick or whatever Nodwick was trying to recycle, you can get a lot of value out of that. I'm just not playing it right now because, again, should I be playing it? Probably, because I don't have an out for Signan's Armor in here or anything else like, what do you call it? The Will-O-Wisp, stuff like that. I think Shade Gremlin, not Shade Gremlin. I don't have an out for if they're immune to range strikes, but you know what? That's okay. Like, I'm fine with that. So, yeah. That is my Captain Dukat. So, hopefully you found this entertaining, informative, maybe. I had fun recording this, so thanks for checking this out, guys. God bless you, and I will catch you in the next video.